Right, here we are, another episode of Work the Left Side, wrestling in '97, godlike wrestling. We're getting there slowly but surely. We're starting to. You'll see as the shows go on why we rate this year so highly. Obviously, as always, I'm joined by Mr. JC. James, how are we doing, mate? You right?
I'm good. I'm good, thanks. Yeah, we've done quite a few of these, and I don't think we can really claim it's a godlike year yet, can we?
Not yet. Not yet. I think we'll get there by the end of the year. I think
Yeah,
it's a slow burner. Think of it as a good film. Think of it as like a
a
you know a
few
score.
a few good things have happened. Like I guess we've got the beginnings of Bret and Austin, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it. It's planting the seeds. Like I say, think of it as a Scorsese. We're planting
Yeah,
the seeds, this, that, and the other. And then come June, July, boom. We're getting to the final half of the year, and
yeah,
yeah, it hits the fan. So, obviously, this time round, it is back to in your house. It's Revenge of the Taker. Obviously, the first show following WrestleMania 13. I think the runtime was about 2 hours, so it's definitely a
yeah. They were
short.
shorter, weren't they, back in the day? These in your houses.
So I think 5 matches, and yeah, I mean, just before we go through the matches, I would class it as being a semi-main event. There was two what I would class as main events, which were Taker and Mankind and Austin Hart rematch from Mania. So all the show is kind of building up to those two matches.
Yeah, building up to that, and all the Raws beforehand were building up to those matches as well. Like it was all about Bret turning heel. That sort of happened since wrestling. So the Raws leading up to this were quite interesting because the very famous Raw where Bulldog and Owen fall out. Then next week they have a rematch for the European title, and I think it goes to pieces and it's DQ and they start fighting and Bret comes out and it's like we're family, and that famous promo is like you're my brother, Owen. And after years of them hating each other, suddenly but it just in one promo it works. And I remember watching that as however old I was then, like 14, 15, and I was like, oh wow, God, that because I'd just seen them like at each other's throats for years, and then suddenly they're back. And Jerry Lawler, who's a heel commentator, suddenly likes Bret Hart, but he does it quite well. In fairness, he's like, yeah, I'm starting to because he's got quite a difficult job really because he's got to side with the guy he's hated for years and he's got to side with Canada of America when he's American. So Jerry Lawler actually does it quite well, I think.
Yeah, I like his change in personality. I kind of like this new
Yeah,
approach. That kind of you can justify liking him now.
yeah, yeah. And he sort of says, "Oh, the fan, yeah." Well, Bret understands like these morons. They don't give him enough credit and all this. So that was funny. But Bret sort of still hates Lawler when they do commentary, which I quite even though he's a heel because of their older their old sort of stuff that they've been through. So that was good. Austin's sort of he's still very heelish, I guess, but he's a babyface, which is interesting. It's before like the Austin that we know, but he's getting there. And Austin, I forgot that Austin Mankind had another little feud right after WrestleMania. I guess he was the right person to pick because Mankind sort of beaten him a few times before. Now he's got the belt, so they got an interesting new thing. And obviously, this is going to lead to Kane eventually. So it's all about Paul Bearer and fire, and Mankind sets fire to his face, and then obviously we see what happens at the end of the match on this show. But
Yeah, whenever you get Taker and Mankind together, it just works. If you're struggling for an opponent for Taker, have a few matches with Mankind. The history's there; it makes sense, and they always generally deliver.
yeah, yeah, and we're seeing bits of Ken Shamrock. He's not on this show, but Ken Shamrock's just he's been on Raw doing like demonstrations, just sort of having UFC fights. He had one against. He was just like, well, he's a UFC jobber. He was just sort of a much smaller fighter, and they have a shoot fight, and it's meant to be an exhibition. And Ken Shamrock like loses his cool and like beats the crap out of him, and I think that's to like sort of lead into him snapping, which starts happening later in the year. Which when I was younger, I absolutely loved when Ken Shamrock snapped and just suplexed all the referees.
Because the weird thing is as well, though, they kind of hinted that he was trying to get a match with Tyson at the following show, or
yeah, they mention this on In Your House, don't they? They talk about Shamrock and say, oh, he's going to call out Tyson. So I suspect they were already talking to Tyson because he's coming in next year, isn't he? But it didn't happen, so it was delayed until Mania. Because I think WCW were talking to Tyson as well. He was like playing the field a bit because obviously they got Hogan, so it was kind of easier for WCW to get celebrities. That's why Dennis Rodman and stuff came in, because they're all buddies with Hogan. But yeah, WWF got Tyson, which was a big turning point. Anyway, we're not talking about 98, we're talking about 97.
Yes, In Your House 97, Revenge of Taker, first match. I'm not going to touch upon the pre-show, Sultan versus Flash Funk. That was the pre-show. We won't focus on that. But the first match of the night on this was the tag titles match: Owen and Bulldog versus LoD.
Yeah.
LoD with a little, again, when we watch this stuff back, we cringe at some of the promos, some of the stuff. With Hawk having a go at Bret for looking at men in ladies' mugs.
Oh yeah.
Moment, like, really, you know, could you use that as an insult?
Yeah, there's a lot of that in these older ones. Legion of Doom are it's great to see them, and it's always great Owen and Bulldog as a team. I did enjoy this match, but they just are a step off, aren't they? Like, they just seem quite sloppy with a lot of things that they do, and that's been sort of consistent with their run since they've been back.
Yeah, I don't know whether it was, by this time, Hawk, obviously had his issues, had his addictions, whether that was starting to take its toll. But yeah, it just, like I say, they just seem to be missing a step. And as good as Owen and Bulldog are, if they're off a step, it kind of throws them off a step as well sometimes. And yeah, it just didn't seem to flow. It was hard hitting. The clothesline looks brutal. Well, there was a few clotheslines where I just went, oh, but maybe that's because it was off and it just looked stiffer than it should have done.
But the Road Warriors were never good wrestlers, really, were they? Like, I sort of didn't realize that when I was younger, but they were just like, they were muscle guys as well, and they beat the crap out of people, and they were quite stiff with it as well. I think people were probably a bit terrified of wrestling the Road Warriors when they were like NWA days. They're on the road. They were Road Warriors going up and down and like just beating up jobbers. And I think they were a bit brutal, and I don't think they were ever considered like great workers or wrestlers by their peers. But all their peers seemed to like them, and they weren't terrible either. I think they're just like, it's just like, you've had a match if you get in with them. It's pretty hard hitting and real.
Yeah, I'd say they were men's men, kind of. Yeah, the boys respected them. Like I said, they put in a shift. But yeah, they could sort of, I think, if they wanted to hurt you, a bit like the APA 10 years later kind of thing, where to punish you, it was very easy to be just like, actually, you know what, I'm not holding back now. I'm just going to give you a very, very stiff shot. But then again, they probably didn't mind getting a receipt. So I think it's that mentality. They work stiff and they don't mind being worked stiff on as well.
Yeah. But I did enjoy this match, even though perhaps they were off a step. It's there wasn't much build to it. It was kind of like, I don't know if you've seen the Raws, like the Godwins were in. It's kind of like it turned the Godwins heel as well because they threw the slop on Legion of Doom. So that's like the feud really is between Legion of Doom and the Godwins. But because they accidentally threw the slop on them. So really the story they're going down is that, and then Owen and Bulldog get saved by Bret. So everything's just about cementing the Hart Foundation on this show, really.
It was a bit of a gaga finish on it, really, in the sense of, get the pin for, but Bulldog's not the legal man. Referee has to come running out. It always annoys me when it's like, it's okay sometimes for the ref to change his mind, but then other times they can't change his mind. They just don't. It's like, look, if you can do it for this match, why didn't you do it for this match? But obviously, referee comes running out, informs the in-match referee, oh, he's not the legal man, restart the match kind of thing. And then it ends in DQ anyway. So it's like...
Yeah. What did he do? He did like a power slam off the second or something. It looked quite good, though. And I probably bought that as a kid thinking, oh, we've got new tag champs, because I did really like Legion of Doom. So I gave it... I gave it a 6 this match. I don't know, you may think that was a bit generous, but I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good, but like I say, it was a good Raw match for me. I just I've sort of classed it as like a 5.5. It's still very close, but it was just above a 5, just because of the people that were in it. It's always nice to hear that LOD pop. Obviously Owen and Bulldog, and like I say, that finish, I'll call it the Avalanche Power Bomb, or not Power Slam. It's just it is what it is. I wouldn't really recommend anyone go out of their way to watch it.
No, I'm not going that far. It's not a classic, but a lot of distinctly average matches leading up to the last 2, which were pretty good.
That's it. But like I said, it's just nice to see the Hart foundations being built.
Yeah.
And if Bret comes out, it's always a plus. So I was always happy to see Bret.
Yeah. Yes, and seeing heel Bret interfering with stuff. Right, on to the next match, which again, it's really like we're building up to stuff that's going to happen later on. Like we got, Rocky Maivia, The Rock, against Savio Vega. Savio Vega, I do rate. I think he's a good wrestler. He's had lots of good matches sort of since he's debuted in '95. He's with the Nation, but he's I do feel he's lost in the shuffle a little bit now. They obviously put him with the Nation to give him a bit of a refresh, but you don't really buy him as a viable contender for the Intercontinental title. I get like the first match we saw, average but solid match.
Again, this might be something
match.
you go back and watch it. You'll pick up on, because you watched the Raws beforehand as well, didn't you? I kind of dipped in and out of the Raws. Obviously, these two had a match a couple of weeks ago before the show.
They didn't. They're a South Africa Raw.
That's it, yeah. And I believe there was 6 nerve holds by Savio match. It was just like, it was so slow. It was just like, and then there was 5 in this match.
Oh, and I wasn't counting the nerve holds.
Nerve things, and it was just like, and the ending annoyed me as well, because obviously, Ahmed Johnson is Ahmed Johnson. We'll explain better in a moment, but he manages just to clean house, and it just makes The Rock look pathetic.
I said the same thing. Yeah, on my notes I put Rocky looks really bad, and he's going in as the Intercontinental Champion. He looks the weakest out of everyone in the match. He looks weaker than Ahmed. He's like secondary to him. Like Ahmed sort of has to save him, but then he's kind of secondary to all the Nation as well. Crush, because Savio, they almost play it like Savio should have won, but Crush just like cost him it, because they're obviously going to break up the Nation soon. So yeah, Rocky, like you read in his book how frustrated he was getting at this point, and you can, looking back, you're like, man, you can see like he's obviously got this pent up stuff inside himself. He really wants to like get out, but he's just being this sort of happy go lucky baby face, and it's just not working. And he just looks consistently worse than his opponents, unless he's against someone like Sultan, and then their match isn't really. It's got nothing against Rikishi, is great, but when he was Sultan, he's very mid card. Like, and Rocky Maivia, like they're not Intercontinental title level really.
But we did get to see the rock bottom again.
Yes, I put that as well. It's just a near fall. Savio Vega's kicked out the rock bottom. No one knows.
But because I think he first did it in the South Africa match, and then obviously he did it again on this one. But it was just, I kind of popped to see it. But then, like you said, he just kicked out of it.
Yeah.
Then obviously, the Gaga finish where he gets KO'd by Crush. He gets heart punched.
I didn't like the finish.
So Savio wins by count out. So technically Savio wins the match, but he doesn't win the belt.
Yeah.
And obviously Fruit comes down, arm in sling, and just orders a kicking. And then here comes Ahmed the save.
I didn't realize The Rock had the belt for so long. I thought Owen got it off him like before this happened, but I guess they still got the that's going to happen, isn't it, at some point? I think it just happened. I think that's going to happen in between the next 2 in your this in your house and the next one. I think Owen will just beat him on Raw.
Yeah, because I think obviously he might have legitimately picked up an injury during this match or something.
He does get injured and he comes back as heel. So there's a bit of time where The Rock isn't there. I thought it was a lot longer, but I reckon maybe he's only gone for like a month.
I don't know, man. We're in April, aren't we, on this?
Yeah.
Or April. I will say April. Mania was March, so this will be April. I think he's probably out for 2 or 3 months. I think he probably leaves in middle start of May and comes back in about August.
Okay, around SummerSlam time.
Yeah, maybe. I'm speculating, but I think it's a few months at least, though. You know, just to build it up a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so I think the nation actually splits up before he comes back. So he joins a different nation to this nation he's fighting here.
That's it. Yeah, because I'm sure like DOA and the
Los Barricas or something.
They all form before he comes back, I think. So yeah, you're basically left with just the bare bones of the nation, and that's when
Ahmed Johnson, talking of inappropriate, gets on the microphone and is just like, "You illegal immigrant," to Savio Vega, and it's like, where did that come from, Ahmed? Like,
I know, but again, just it still amazes me the fan reaction. You know, the pop.
They just cheer like, "Yeah, he is a legal immigrant." It's like, what the hell? Like, yeah, crazy.
But anyway, The Rock they just did him no favors in this. Obviously, it made Ahmed look like an absolute star and a boss. It still amazes me. It still makes me laugh that he's coming out with the 2x4 basically. You know, he's looking very much like an urban hacksaw.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. They just go, "Oh, you can. This is a weapon that an old wrestler used to use. You can have it." And I said, "Yeah, it was all about Ahmed and Farouk just making Rocky look bad." I probably overvalued this one as well. I suspect you'll go lower. I gave it 5 out of 10.
Oh, dude. No,
maybe less than that. Maybe a 4.
3.5 for me. Them goddamn nerdboards.
I was obviously feeling a bit generous when I watched this.
But so obviously right, okay. And again, we're obviously talking about, you know, planting the seeds for things to come. Obviously, Rocky Mavia becoming The Rock, joining the nation. And next up, we have planting the seeds for I hated this match, but if this match hadn't have happened, we may never have got the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
That's shining great.
I hated these matches. I remember watching them when I was younger. I was like, why is this taking up the screen time? Like, I wasn't really into Jesse James, and Billy Gunn was just being presented as a bit of a jobber. Like, he's just been jobbing out Shamrock and all the Raws like in like a minute. So it's and it's weird how Honky Tonk Man tried to like get with both of them. They both punched him, and then they sort of changed tact, and Billy Gunn joined him.
You know what the original thing was meant to be? It was meant to be Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno was meant to be Honky Tonk's protege.
Oh, right.
Through at the last minute. So that's when there's like, oh crap, oh fuck, okay, well we'll just get Billy to do it.
No, why did it get pulled?
Just negotiations. I don't know whether WCW got wind of it and offered, you know, Disco a pay rise.
Going over to WCW soon then.
No, Disco.
Sorry, Disco Inferno. For some reason, I thought you were saying Flash Funk. Yeah, because I don't. Yeah, Disco Inferno is in WCW. Yeah. In my head, I thought you were talking about Flash Funk. Obviously, similar gimmick, very different wrestlers.
Yeah,
one's very good and one's not so good.
Disco was meant to be revealed as the protege.
I guess that kind of makes sense. Yeah, it's like a 70s version of Honky Tonk Man.
That's it. All the dancing and stuff as well. But they kind of tried to explain it in the sense of, obviously, 2 weeks ago, Billy punched Honky Tonk. And that looked like he was out. But then that just fired up Honky Tonk even more to persuade to beat his protege kind of thing. He
says, when I felt that punch, I knew you were the right man. Although, as bad as this match was, it made me really happy Billy Gunn's dancing. Like, when he comes to the ring, he does that weird, like, dancing, like, and he has, like, a weird look on his face. I don't know why. It just makes me feel really happy seeing him do that.
He's just not comfy at all, is he? You could tell he's so going through with the
He's
character.
so wooden, and I can relate to that. I'm a very wooden dancer myself, but it's just so funny him coming down, and he keeps on doing it like in the match.
Hit a punch, do a dance.
Yeah, it's like so does that, doesn't it? Because he's so muscly, it's hard for him to dance properly.
But that's the highlight of the match, and that speaks volumes. You know,
That is definitely the highlight of the match. His dancing.
Although Jesse James did hit a clothesline off the ring apron, that was very Underdog-esque. It kind of popped me a little bit. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, it was more of a right. Let's get this over and do it. I just want to see the New Age Outlaws now. It just kind of whetted my taste buds to see these two guys together more than anything else.
Yeah, and it's weird to think in less than a year they're going to be the top tag team, and right here they're just nothing. But I'm waiting. I think it happens on Superstars, actually. They both beat up Honky Tonk Man in a match against each other and just walk off and like, oh, we're buddies now. So I remember watching that when I was younger, and I was like, oh, that's weird they did that. And then suddenly they're a tag team. And I didn't think anything of it because I just viewed them as Billy Gunn and Jesse James. And then slowly they became like, well, it's actually Legion of Doom. Like they feud with Legion of Doom, and it just, because I remember thinking like, oh, Legion of Doom will deal with them easy, like these little mid carders, and then they like just completely like demolish Legion of Doom on that Raw where they shave their head and stuff, and that's what cements New Age Outlaws. So saying they've lost a step, Legion of Doom, they make New Age Outlaws. I'm looking forward to seeing that because that really sticks out to me in '97, that moment.
It was LOD and then Mankind and Chainsaw Charlie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The next year kind of thing. Pretty certain they have the dumpster match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's Mania next year. So Chainsaw Charlie, he debuts around the Rumble. Yeah.
That's it. So
we've got that. This is happening this year. God, it's crazy to think where Mankind is at the moment. It all happens really quickly when you think about it. Like DX is going to happen really quickly. New Age Outlaws, Mankind goes from being like this freak into the basement to Dude Love. That's all going to happen by SummerSlam. That's going to happen. Because he's against Triple H at SummerSlam, I think, in a cage match. So we've only got like a few months before that. 4 months.
In this, that's the match where Chyna's absolutely slammed the door in his face, isn't it? If I remember. Yeah. Ooh, this is when we get into the godlike stuff. This is when we get the stuff that.
But before that, and I think I must have been quite generous when I watched this. What would you give Billy Gunn and I gave it 4. Probably should have been a 3.
I don't know what was. I don't know whether at least the dancing made me smile. The nerve holds in the previous match pissed me off, so I got a 3.5. I'll give this one a 4, just because
I gave it 4.
It entertained me more than The Rock and Savio.
It really did entertain me more, yeah. Although I think I prefer the rest. There must have been something I liked about Rock and Savio. I think there was some good wrestling in it. Maybe not. Maybe I was just being. I think maybe I'm more generous on the first couple because it's like I haven't watched wrestling in a while. I'm like, oh yeah. And then the last 2 matches are really good. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what a good match is.
Yeah, you start off high, and then you're like, oh crap, booking myself into a corner. And at some point during this, I'm sure it might have happened. I can't remember exactly when it happened. We get to see one of my top 5s very briefly on screen, Mr. Brian Pillman. He's screens talking to Sonny, whispering in her.
Yeah, she's all over him, isn't she? She really is. All over everyone, and like that's sort of her character because she's not a manager now. She doesn't do anything other than this sort of stuff. Like she does the sort of internet because she was the most downloaded woman on AOL or whatever it was. So I guess she does like all the interviews and the internet stuff, those sort of things.
So Superstars as well, didn't they? I think those two had a segment on Superstars, or they did commentary or interviews on Superstars.
Maybe, yeah. Because Brian Pillman's still injured, but he's soon going to. Canadian Stampede's happening, isn't it? That must be July, Canadian Stampede.
I think so. I'm sure it is. But yeah, I did. Just a quick sidebar. I did put this out. I was trying something different. I uploaded the picture of Pillman whispering into Sonny's ear, and I did a little caption competition on social media.
I saw that. Yeah.
I was just sort of saying, like, what did Brian say? Please tell me what you think. And shout out to Mr. Ryan Palmer, who just sort of nice little reference to Pillman's got a gun. which is like, yeah, that's not good in the pocket. Hence they're like, oh, sunny face. And Mr. Michael Jolly said that he was asking if he could have sunny days. Or if oh, Sean says that you're a goer. That was the actual phrasing. So yeah, there was nothing overly pleasant mentioned. And Chris Berger thinks that he was just telling her that you can get McDonald's chicken nuggets at Aldi's now.
Has he got a gun? I think wins that competition. That's quite clever.
I like that. Any reference to that moment are still one of my favourite moments. But yeah, Sonny, Hillman. We've had a few backstage. Oh, we didn't talk about Austin getting jumped in the toilets by Owen.
Yeah. So, well, we can talk about that now because it kind of ties into what the beef that I had with this show. As much as I like Bret and Austin, I feel like they did Undertaker and Mankind dirty here. Like, they're the title match. Undertaker's just won the belt, and they do this beat down in the toilet, and then suddenly Gorilla Monsoon, like, he interviews Stone Cold, and he's like, well, he's okay to fight, but he can't fight yet. He's going to have to wait, and we're going to have to swap the matches around. So that's the main event. And it's just like, come on, make the title match the main event. It's like they've had Mankind, and I think it should have been main event after watching both matches. I feel because it's the one that's got a proper finish, and it's got a really strong finish and a really strong finish for Taker as well, where it's just a DQ. The other one is, but they're both great matches. But I think Undertaker and Mankind should have been the main.
Yeah, it would have been a good way of ending the show. But yeah, it was just a look on Bulldog and Owen's face when they got caught coming out like.
The toilet, yeah.
We then got a promo afterwards, after the next match. Well, obviously they're talking to Owen, Bulldog, and Bret in the locker room. And yeah, Bulldog's like, "Oh, we were just in the toilet celebrating the victory." But yeah, you know, I always go to toilets to celebrate. That's perfectly logical.
Yeah.
And Bret,
Bulldog and Owen's excuses are funny.
But then, yeah, Bret just finishes it off with an absolute banger of a line. And he's just like, and the bottom line is, who's crying now?
Yeah. I really like the contrast between sort of the whiny promos of Owen, or like the over the top sort of like heelish promos by Owen and Bulldog, and then Bret's still very Bret, but he's just sort of changed it. He's still very cool, calm, and collected, but he just sort of twists it. So he's been a bit more heelish. But I find it crazy that people think Bret's a bad promo. Like, watch 97. It's incredible. I love the promos that he's doing, and even before, like, I maybe didn't appreciate them when I was younger. Bret wasn't one of my favorites when I was younger, but watching them back, I even like his promos from like sort of 95 and before.
Yeah, I mean, WrestleMania 8, the promo that him and Piper cut before that, WrestleMania 8. Bret could cut a promo when he was allowed to. I think that was the thing.
Well, it's just a different style. It was like he was like he's meant to be cool, isn't he? That's his character. So it's not like crazy over the top. But yeah, I guess who else had quiet promos? Jake the Snake's the obvious one, who was really good at them. But and yeah, he's one of the best. I wouldn't put Bret at his level, but I still think his promos were consistently good. And I think because he was main event guy, people think like, oh, he wasn't like all charismatic like Hogan or Macho Man or Warrior, but it was still good. Like I liked him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. They were, like you say, they were just different. They were chilled out. He didn't need to shout to get his point across. He was very sort of intelligent with it, and basically, the character did the talking in the ring. I mean, he could talk, he could cut a promo, but it suited the Bret Hart character just to actions speak louder than words, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll call it a semi-main event. Both matches are the main event. We've got Mankind versus Taker. As I said, Taker's first title defense since Mania. I obviously got blinded, or he got fireballed to the face a few weeks beforehand. Yeah. Nobody's seen him since. And he comes out with a plaster on his head.
Yeah, no, it's not like when he had the mask like last year, which was quite impressive. He just got a plaster on his head. My other big issue, so one issue was they swapped the matches around. I feel they did Undertaker dirty on his first title defense. The other issue I had was these are like lesser forms of previous matches they had, both Bret and Austin. This is like the it's like the third one, isn't it? The third like film in the trilogy is always a bit pants, and I feel like this is the equivalent of that. Like they've had a great first two, and then they just sort of have this third one that's good, but it's not memorable like the first two. Like no one, because people always talk about the one from WrestleMania quite rightly, but then people will always go, "Oh, but what about that one at SummerSlam? Like the Survivor Series, that was incredible too." People forget about that. This is the one they really forget about. No one even remembers this one, and I just think that the same with Undertaker and Mankind. Like they had a great one at King of the Ring, then they built it up, Boiler Room Brawl and the Buried Alive, all this crazy stuff, and then they sort of went back and had a one at Survivor Series, which was a bit pants because it was a normal match. But again, here it's just a normal match. Other than both matches are both using weapons in front of the referee, which I guess was the third issue I was having. So even though they were good, these two matches, I had a lot of issues.
Yeah, it was stiff though. I do think this is a very underappreciated match.
It was I was surprised how good it was. Actually, it was a real slow burner because it didn't. Towards I was like, oh, this is good, but not as good as some of the other ones. And then towards the end, I was like, "What? This is great!" Like that table bump where he goes. I've seen it loads. That clip. I didn't realize it was from this match. He goes head first through the table. That's brilliant. Like the whole finish is good. I like the fact he does that choke slam and then kicks out and he gives him a tombstone because it's really sort of cements like Mankind won't die, and then he has to give him the tombstone to finally beat him. But it sort of puts, I think it puts over, yeah, both wrestlers. It was very good. This.
I mean, yeah, we've talked about the table that bit. The elbow drop to the outside from the second row on the apron to the floor outside by Mankind. Obviously, we had the heads attached, head stuck in the ropes. If you're having to pull the ropes open and his mask comes off, I think it's for a lot of people the first time you saw Mankind.
Yeah, that was great. That made the finish for me as well. Like I think it was good, and then the finish was just great. Like the mask. In fact, I wrote. Where did I wrote? I was writing in my notes. I said, "Really good match, brutal, nothing that new." And then just as I typed it, I looked up and he got his mask ripped off, and I wrote, "Oh, okay, yes, there is something new." And then he does a table bump, and I was like, "Okay, that's another new thing." I should have waited before making my notes.
Another new thing as well, when Taker goes to do old school, and Mankind just pulls his hand away.
Yeah, I noticed that, and he just does like a springboard clothesline. I didn't know if like that was a mess up or I guess that they were. No, I don't think it was. I think they were. It just stumbles a bit with it, but I think the point of that spot is, and I know Mankind sort of thinks like this when he prepares matches, just from his interviews. They know each other so well. They just do little things that so it looks like they sort of messed up, but it's because they know each other so well, so they have to do something slightly different. And yeah, I thought that was quite cool that they did that. Never seen him do it since, though. Probably because he was so wobbly up there.
That's a one and done. I'll do it once. I'm never doing it again. But that one time, yeah, it just looked money. It was just like, yeah, that's awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed that. But yeah, I just thought it was a very, very good match. Like you said, if this had been the main event, I would, end the show happy. I do end the show happy anyway, not to besmirch the Boston Hart. But yeah, this is just.
Well, they kind of left it on a cliffhanger with Paul Bearer getting fired, even though they fucked it up, didn't they? At the end, like, did you see Mankind with a lighter, and they kept on trying to like get it so Undertaker, Paul Bearer like got reversed, and he did it into Paul Bearer instead of Undertaker, but he couldn't get the fire to go. They tried a few times, and then you see one bit where Undertaker's just like, "God, what's going on?" And he just kicks Mankind and takes it off him and does it, because that was meant to be Mankind setting him on fire, I think, not Undertaker, like accidentally. That
I think, like you said, he was meant to go for Taker moves against it, but light doesn't work. Shenanigans. I think obviously you kind of like watching it now. We kind of know what happened, with our trained eyes. But as a kid, or as as a younger person watching it, that would have been amazing. That would have just been like, Taker's got his revenge kind of thing.
Well, yeah, Revenge of Taker. That's the revenge of, again. That's why that should be the last moment on the show. It's the name of the show, and like the Revenge of the Taker is because he got burned, so he burns Paul Bearer in revenge. But no.
But yes, the adjusted second semi-main event, Austin Hart. Obviously, the first time that we're having this match with Hart going into it as heel, and Austin's coming into it as a face, and it starts off awesomely. I just love seeing these two guys punch each other in the face.
Yeah, and just brawling. It's like the beginning of the Austin like babyface just brawl. That's his shine. He just brawls and punches them. And this is the first match where he really does it, because every other match he's taken the heel role up until this point. So this is the first match where he comes out and just like starts beating the crap out of him straight away. And then we get a Bret Hart like heel heat on him doing the leg and that sort of stuff. And that's and I love seeing Bret do that as well. So I did enjoy this match, but again, it was just less than the last two, which just it's the forgotten one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, just seeing Austin be the fighting from the ground up as opposed to being the dominant one. Yeah, just like every time Austin got some offense in, Bret would kick his leg and Austin was down again. He's just working the knee. But then you still kind of got the old school Austin. He hits a low blow when the ref's not looking on Bret.
Well, the ref is looking. That both these matches, they just cheat in front of the ref consistently. In the match before this, he smashed him over the head with a glass jug.
Yes, he did. Yes.
And the ref just sees it, and Vince is even like, "Why is that not a disqualification?" It's like, "Why isn't it, Vince? Like, what's going on with your promotion?" And it's because it's leading up to the Attitude Era, isn't it? But and they're both whacking each other with chairs in front of the ref, and there is like the ref even tries to sort of pretend not seeing the low blow, but it's just they don't care at this point. It's like everything is no DQ, really, isn't it? It's like they're trying to like ECW,
except for the first match, which ended in a DQ because somebody got hit with a belt.
Yeah, and also the interference as well with The Rock.
Well, he got counted out though, didn't he? That wasn't.
Oh yeah. Sorry, that was count out, wasn't it? But again, why wasn't Bret and Austin a count out? Because they were brawling on the outside for ages.
Yeah, that's when that was Austin's time to shine. I kind of liked that they did that, because whenever it went out into the crowd, it was just Austin overpowering Bret, just absolutely punching the shit out of him. And then when it came back to the ring, that's when Bret got the upper hand.
Yeah, great. So I love that the fact they do like as a little wrestler thing. So when they do, we call it an international in the UK, where you do like a tackle, a sleep leap, and you'll hit a hip toss or something. It's like a spot you do in wrestling at the beginning. In America, they call it like drop down, vault, or leap. I think drop down, tackle, drop down instead of a sleep. And I love that they do it at the end of the match, because it's a thing that wrestlers do at the beginning of the match, but they just like do a random one, but they're so knackered when they're doing it. And it, for me as a wrestler, I like the way they do it, because they're so knackered. And then Austin just sort of like kicks him and like tries to do a pile driver that falls over. And I just really like that bit. Again, it was sort of for the thinking man as a fan who's watching this, and it's just something slightly different, which is really cool.
That's it. And yeah, third time round, we've got to try new stuff. And I always pop for the figure 4 around the turnbuckle post.
Yeah, let down by the DQ finish, I thought. But I guess they have to. But again, that's why it shouldn't have been the last match, because they're building towards like Canadian Stampede, and they can't. And at this point, I suspect they thought it was going to be Bret and Austin for the belt at the next year's Mania, potentially. That's what it should have been if he hadn't gone at Survivor Series, and that would have been a great like finish to the story. But
probably would have had one more in between to make it 2-war technically, and then that would have been
I think it would have been better if it's like Austin, he's never beaten Bret, but he won the Rumble, so that's why he gets his title shot, because he sort of goes to feuding with Intercontinental, doesn't he? And then and then he gives it up to The Rock in December, and then he wins a Rumble. It would have been perfect timing. He like feuds with Owen for the rest of the year, so he's still connected to the Hart family, and then he wins a Rumble and takes a belt from Bret a year after. Yeah, Bret made him bleed that way, which yeah, that would have been cool. But we got him against. Actually, the match with Shawn Michaels isn't that great at WrestleMania 14, given how good, but because Shawn was so hurt.
Yeah, it's a very mediocre match on a very hot big platform. But yeah, obviously that's down the road. But yeah, I would have popped huge for Austin and Bret at Mania. I think that would have been an absolute banging match. But yeah, it's not a bad match. It's a screwy finish. It's the weakest of the three matches they've had.
It's not a 10 like last month.
No. What did you? Did we give the? We didn't give the Undertaker.
No, we didn't. And I noticed you didn't, but I think that's good because I wanted to compare these two. Because I was flipping and flopping in my mind, like which one do I prefer? And I was like, well, Bret and Austin, I probably do prefer. And I remember when I was younger, that one stood out to me more. But I just really liked the finish and the build in Mankind and Undertaker. And I just think it's like an underappreciated match, that table bump and stuff. But I have also marked them both down slightly for the same reasons. The fact that they were like lesser forms of matches we've already seen. So there was nothing really, like it wasn't really new other than that those bumps we talked about. And I guess the switching of the roles. I suppose that's what's new. And so I gave them both a 7.5. Maybe could go to an 8. I thought they were good matches, but I gave them both 7.5. And I haven't decided I haven't confirmed which one I prefer. So maybe we can talk about that.
I'm trying to remember. Obviously, we gave Austin Hart at Mania a 10 out of 10. That's I'm not going to begrudge a match for not reaching perfection again. It's not. You can't always catch lightning in the bottle. I can't remember what. Oh, we didn't. Obviously, that was from Survivor Series last year, so we haven't rated that match. So I'm free to rate this match an 8. Yeah, okay. I would rate. I'm the same as you. I enjoyed both of them equally. I think they both brought different things to the table, but I would rate them both an 8 personally.
8. I think I could take it to an 8. Yeah, they were. I did really enjoy them. I think I just took half a point off because of just because I felt like we'd seen it all before, and they're not really historic. But 8 is probably fair. Yeah, they're both great matches. Which one would you say you preferred if you had to pick one?
Take a Mankind, probably.
Okay, I would probably go. I'd probably go Bret Austin because it was at the time. I know I enjoyed it more. I couldn't even remember ever watching Undertaker Mankind, but I distinctly remember watching Bret and Austin at the time. So I think in '97 that was the better match because it was the first time. It was quite interesting because I saw Austin as babyface, but I did also feel really let down by the finish with Austin and Bret. I do remember that as well, with the DQ finish. So I'll probably go with Bret and Austin. But I don't know because it was such a good finish to Undertaker. Yeah, this was what I was going through in my head. But I'll go with Bret and Austin because you went with Undertaker and Mankind, just so we're not always agreeing on everything.
I just think, it's anytime you get Taker and Mankind, I just love Mick Foley. Like I said, he's one of my top 5 guys. And yeah, I just love this. I just think it's a very hard hitting match, and it wouldn't look out of place today, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Overall, would you say this was better or worse than Final Four?
I feel like probably worse. I think because Final Four is so historic. I feel this isn't really historic at all. Like I kind of have forgotten about this one. Like it's 2 really good matches, but they're just good. They're just good matches. I don't feel they're like epic. Like Final Four felt quite epic.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Final Four again, very same situation. Very mediocre undercard, but that main event was awesome. I'll try to remember. I'm gonna have to watch some of these and figure out, what we rated certain matches. Because I'd be curious if we rated Final Four main event and higher than an 8 whether we rated it like an 8.5 or a
I
9.
gave it a 9. I feel like
We
it
gave
deserved a 9. Yeah.
That's fine. Then that's okay. That justifies. Yeah.
I like how we're taking this so seriously, and we should do.
If we gave it an 8, it would be like, well, it's on par. You know what I mean? We've got 2 8 matches and a 1-8 match. Surely that show should be better than that show.
Yeah.
But no, we gave it a 9. Justifies that. Yeah, Final Four was the better show. But both of these matches are well worth a look if anybody does want to.
I'd like to know what other people thought, which one they preferred. I think if I was just watching the matches alone, I might go with Undertaker and Mankind. But I think at this point, I am a bit bored of their storyline, and I don't really think they had a good storyline leading up to this, whereas Bret and Austin do. And there was a lot of, I think if it was a match alone, so it had a really good finish and some unique stuff, I might have gone with Undertaker Mankind. I'm sticking with Bret and Austin because of the story and because it was a lot more historic, and it was the first time we saw Austin as babyface and Bret as a heel. Obviously, he was heel a few years ago, but this is the first time he's a heel in a long time.
No, definitely. Yeah. I don't think there's a wrong answer, and I totally understand. Like I say,
the wrong answer we've discovered is probably Rocky Maivia and Savio Vega.
Yeah, fair play. Or picking Billy Gunn as your prodigy. But overall,
I think I should have probably marked Rocky and Jesse James above The Rock and Savio Vega because of Billy's dancing.
I've got a second dancing gift now. Awesome.
Guess who it is.
If people watch this show, skip the first 3 matches, you're not missing anything. Just watch the 2 main events, and it's a good out. I think both matches come together at about an hour, so it's a 2-hour show. An hour of it is just these 2 matches. Save yourself an hour and watch the second half for the next True Grit show.
Yeah, that's next week. Back to York, which looking very much forward to. Although Sean Only did say Leeds in a promo that I posted just before this show, which is annoying. But he was confirming that he will wrestle Joey Cement at the show. I don't know if you've seen the promos leading up to it, but he's really good, that promo from Joey. It's sorry.
He's only 17, isn't he, as well? I think 17.
Yeah. I don't really know a whole lot about him other than he's been really helpful at shows. And he and I know he trains a lot with Styx, which sort of Brady, Ivy, and Sash as well. So he's with that lot. But so he's got good pedigree. But that promo was fantastic. And we got Inserico and BA Rose in a no DQ match, which I think should be interesting. Kind of like a bit of a contrast in styles, but I very much enjoy those contrasts. Like, think Shawn Michaels and Mankind in '96, like a year before this, how good that was. Like, that's what sort of stuff I'm hoping for there.
Made that comparison for Scotty and Jack. It was meant to be BA. Yeah, but it wasn't BA. It ended up he was replaced. Yeah, we kind of used that as an example of potentially that's what that match could have been. And I
think it's just one of my favourite matches. Shawn Michaels and Mankind. So keep on booking matches to try and recreate it. No, they're their own wrestlers. But it should be great that.
And it tells the story of Inserico. He's having all these different kinds of matches whilst defending the title. It is a genuine trial by fire. Not no one match has been the same.
Yeah. He's really trying to, and we got Ivy as well defending a belt against Natalie Sykes, which should be interesting. That'll be a good match. And Natalie was kind of a hometown girl. I know she lived in York for a little bit. So that'll be good. And she's really been on fire recently. I keep on seeing her in all sorts of matches for different promotions. So she's really taken off at the moment. So that should be good between those two. Carry on. As a pure grit match between H.G. Drake and Ellis Parker, which I think people were pleased to see Ellis Barker on the shows again, and he's the sort of technical style he's really good at. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares against HT Drake in a pure grit rules match. We have big tag match leading up to the ladder match, but on this one we've got Misery Business versus Jet Marshall and Leon Slater, who's obviously absolutely killing it at the moment. So that should be a good match. We may have Nash Boat as well, but Sash has yet to find a tag team partner. So yeah, watch this space. What happens with that one?
I'm sure he can pay somebody. I'm sure he's got all the money. Pay somebody to turn up. It's fine. But yeah, we'll let Sean off for saying Leeds instead of York, because he's not a Yorkshire guy. He's from Berkhamshire, side of the hills. Anywhere in Yorkshire is probably just Leeds to him, so it's fine.
Yeah. ZZ and Gia Adams. Gia's not been on the shows since March, actually, the True Grit Games. So it'd be good to see her. In fact, I think she's taking a bit of a break from wrestling. She's only just started doing shows again. So she'll be, looking to prove herself in the ranks again. But going against ZZ, who has just been on fire recently, a match, last of the Summer Raw was great when she hit a moonsault. That was, I feel she's really sort of taken off ZZ, and people seem to be really behind her, which is good.
Just looks business, that's why as well. She just looks money kind of thing. She looks, she's got that airport effect, as Vince would say. If you saw her walking to the airport, you'd double take and be like, that will. She looks the business.
Yeah, definitely. She's been doing great, ZZ. And also another interesting one, which when I booked, and I sort of booked it, and I was, I don't know if those two have faced each other before. And then I was like, wow, this could be really good. In fact, it will be really good. Brady Phillips and Jack Bandicoot, which should be just awesome. That's a real, I think a bit of a dark horse for potential match of the night. I think there's a few potential match of the nights on there. So
Brady Phillips, I was really impressed with at the last show.
How good is him and Dan Evans? And I didn't really, because I've not seen Dan Evans be babyface for a while. He's done the pure grit stuff for me, so I guess he's a bit more tempered version. But his him as a babyface was fantastic, and I was like, that's a good role for him to be in.
Definitely. And you mentioned Brady Phillips, Jack Bandicoot's Crash Bandicoot. Jack Bandicoot he's on fire at the minute as well. He's very much. Actually, I know they announced a couple of days ago that he's going to be fighting QT Marshall down south. Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah, he's doing well at the moment.
It's again, but he is what I would class as being part of the True Grit alumni kind of thing. The modern era True Grit.
Yeah, well, I kind of have I think it's like a magnificent 6 at the moment, but of like not the lead shows, but the York OGs who have kind of like been with me when I ran Grapple, the wrestling school as well. So I've seen them all grow from being sort of trainees to stars, and those guys and Serico is the obvious one. He's just an absolute star now, and I've seen him rising up through the ranks. I think both of Crash Boat, they're just one of the best tag teams in the country now. Also, I guess they were all tag team guys, like the 3 of them. They're still a tag team. But 2 more tag team guys who are now great singles wrestlers. Sean Only, I think he's been consistently with True Grit for a long time. And his old tag partner was B.A. Rose. And I think he's one of the OGs for True Grit. And last, but certainly not least, I think Wing Commander Nash is just he just offers and obviously he does the comedy stuff, but I think in all seriousness, he offers something so unique and entertaining to any show that he's on. I think he's consistently, he'll be someone's favorite. He'll be a lot of people's favorite who go and see the show, and that happens on every show that he is on. And I just think he's great, and I think all of them have a very unique sort of look and style about them now.
Yeah, definitely. very across the board. They all offer something different. You just said, Nash will be somebody's favourite. I'm sure he's a lot of people's favourites, but I'm going to shout out my mate Tony Norton, who is like the #1 Commander Nash fan that I know. He's even got the old belt that Nash had.
Oh wow!
Nash gave him the belt, for being his #1 fan. So he was a fan back in the Wonder Pants days. So, but yeah.
And then I guess sort of 3 more that they came in slightly after them, but Natalie, who we talked about, and Joe Wade as well, who I remember Joe Wade when he was a trainee, and just amazing at the aerial stuff, but hadn't really sort of found a look or style. And same with Natalie, actually, like was good at the wrestling, but hadn't really found a look and style. And they both just got an abundance of that and an abundance of charisma, like very different. Like when Natalie comes out, when that phone rings and her entrance music, and it's just really good the way she does it. And Joe Wade just with this sort of goth boy demeanor, like, yeah, it's great because I saw all these ones as trainees, and now I think for a lot of them I think PPW has helped like really bring them to the next level. And then Wes has just gone next level with everything that he's doing. He's just like a superstar now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously I spoke to Joe Wade.
Sorry, the third one, who never really trained at grapple with me, but she's sort of, I put her with that Rebecca Resner is another one. She's not on this show, but she's another one, sort of one of the True Grit. Was there towards the end of when we were doing shows before.
Yeah. But just as a sidebar, I spoke to Joe Wade last week, and he had nothing.
He
had nothing. He was talking about getting into it, talking about grapple, and he had nothing but love, for grapple and stuff like that. And then obviously you go in, I'm going to take a year or 2 out, and then go into pursuit kind of thing. But it seems to be a very similar journey to a lot of people I've spoken to, like Kemper, and numerous other guys. They're all talking about, but grapple and pursuit always seem to come up in the same sentence a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot of the old grapple guys went to pursuit because there's not really a school in Leeds, so a lot of them go to Sheffield.
Yeah. So, but yeah, obviously, might as well, while I've got you, just shout out to First Pursuit having the first paying attendance show on Saturday. Wish them more the luck, and we will be back.
Good luck to PPW on Saturday. First show. I think they're done pretty. Looks like a good card.
It looks like a banging card. Yeah, absolutely. Some of the matches we did like a hype episode last night for it kind of thing. Talking to Wrestling Jeebus, and
he goes to every show, doesn't he?
He's 200 shows or something this year so far. Yeah. But yeah, he had nothing but love for True Grit as well. I'm going to soundbite it at some point just to big up True Grit, but we obviously talked about different shows as well. And he sort of saying that, you never see, to actually quote him was, you never get a bad True Grit show.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah.
There you go. A little bit more.
Put a lot of effort.
Good. We'll end on that compliment. So you can go away. You can get your happy moment at the end of the show.
Yeah, that's amazing. I appreciate him saying that. And I think I agree. Like, I do think people go above and beyond on our shows. They're generally like, there's a lot of stress getting to them, but they're usually all right on the night for sure.
Well, dude, I walked the last one, so I know all about the stress.
Oh God, yeah, you did. Yeah, that's crazy. You did that. Big shout out to you, big #1 True Grit fan, walking from Morley. You didn't walk back, did you?
No, I've got a taxi back. It's fine. I was doing that. No, I've been stood up for like 3 hours. I was like, no, that's it. I'm done. I literally got on the taxi and just flopped. If you haven't got your ticket, even if I'm not there, learn from my mistakes. Get a True Grit ticket for the show in York. It's going to be awesome. Just matches that we've just talked about are going to be absolutely banging. BA Rose versus Enserico is just going to be next level. And not to besmirch any other match, all of the matches are going to be awesome. But I am highly intrigued by Wes versus Rose.
I'm very intrigued by it as well.
And if you want to know more about future shows, where can they find the True Grit information?
On our website, truegritwrestling.com, and we've got socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all True Grit Wrestle, and YouTube True Grit Wrestling, and also we're finally starting to do a bit on it. We got TikTok, so follow us on TikTok.
Awesome. Means I can start making my highlight videos, my highlight TikTok videos that I do of the True Grit shows.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Really
trying to push the socials at the moment. So share our stuff if you see it.
yeah, definitely share this, share True Grit. Share, retweet, post, comment, like. Do that on this video as well. And we will see you again very, very soon. And we will be back with the WCW. You told me what it was.
Stampede.
That's it, yeah, because the promos, the 4 horsemen on the horses at like Cowboy Ranch, and it's all total sort of rawhide style. So obviously very much lost on UK audience, but the Americans, freaking ate it up and loved it. So we will be back with that very, very soon, and we will see you again.